Canned peaches are one of my favorite canned fruits. They not only taste delicious, but they are so easy to do. I start out by blanching my peaches, which if you need to see how to do that, go ahead and take a look at my video for it. It's really easy. Then I go through and I'll cut out the pits. I do that just by slicing it in half, and then I turn the peach. You have to be gentle because you don't want to hurt it, and I'll pull out the pit and I place it right back in my salt water. So this water is 1/4 of a cup of salt and 1 gallon of water. You would think that the salt would be an issue, but it's actually not. And if I have any really small blemishes, I just cut those out. If I have any with large blemishes on them, I'll save those for either making jam or today I'm making peach nectar. Now that I've got them all cut in half, I'll load them into my jars. Now when I put them in my jar, I need to make sure that they're the cut side down. So I always do a wide mouth jar for this. And then I just continue to put them one after the other in my jar, cut side down, and I kind of zigzag them back and forth so that I can fit more in there. You could slice them up if you preferred, but this has been my favorite way to do it. For one thing, when I tell the kids that they need to have a serving of peaches, instead of just getting 2 or 3 little slices, they'll take a whole half of a peach, so that makes a difference for me. There's a couple of my peaches that got a little bit roughed up when I was taking the peach pit out, and so those are the ones I'll save for my nectar. My canner will fit 8 jars worth, so I'll just continue working until I have 8 jars filled with my peaches. Because I like my peaches canned in a heavy syrup, I'll add 1/2 cup of sugar to each of the jars. This seems like a lot, but I'm telling you, it tastes amazing. If you wanted to do a medium syrup, you would do 1/3 cup. If you wanted to do a light syrup, you would do 1/4 cup. When you place the peaches in, you have to place them in so that there's enough room for that sugar to get around them. Sometimes you have to kind of work it down. And now I'll add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to each of the jars. The lemon juice just helps it maintain a firmer texture as well as a better color. Then I fill up the rest of my quart-sized jar with hot water up to the 1/2 inch of headspace. Headspace is the space from the top of the food to the top of the jar. Then I use a chopstick to debubble my jars. This is just so that if there's any trapped air bubbles in there, that they'll be released. And I just run my wooden chopstick down through the sides. I wouldn't want to do this with anything that was metal or it could scratch the inside of my jars. And then I fine tune my headspace because a lot of times when those air bubbles come out, they make it so that it goes down a little bit. I use a clean damp cloth to wipe off the rim of my jars so that if anything got on the edge that it won't interfere with the seal. Now I'll place my lids and rings on until they're fingertip tight. I'm using my Superb lids today. These are my new favorites actually because they have this really squishy blue seal which does a good job of sealing to my jars. It actually seals for up to 36 months as opposed to the 18 months that my old lids used to. So I really like that. Also, it has a rust-resistant coating on it that makes it so that it doesn't rust in my root cellar, which is a good thing because it's a little more humid down there. I have a link as well as a 20% off discount code in my description below. Now I'll place these in my boiling water bath, submerged by 1 to 2 inches of water, and process them for 30 minutes if I'm at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll process them for 35. But I won't start my timer until after it starts to boil. Now that the processing time is done, I'll turn off the heat, remove the lid, and let it cool for 5 minutes. I place my jars on a heat-resistant surface 1 to 2 inches apart so that they can cool quickly. I'll leave them there for 24 hours so that they can get a good seal. I know that they have a good seal if the center of the lid has depressed down. If it has, I'll remove the rings, wash the outside with hot soapy water, and store them in a cool, dry, dark location, like my pantry, and use them in the next 1 to 3 years. If any of them didn't seal, I would place it in my refrigerator and use it right away. I recommend not opening your jars for at least 2 weeks. All of that sugar tends to settle on the bottom, and through osmosis, it will disperse throughout the fluid and then gradually get into the fruit. But if you eat it too early, what will happen is at the top, I want to pick it up, but it's a little bit too hot. So at the top of the jar, it will taste like it's just canned in water. And then the ones that are at the very bottom will be like really, really sweet. So just give it some time to even out. After 2 or 3 weeks, you can pop these open and enjoy them to your heart's content.